Good day everyone, I am Von Kiriji Ragasa and I am your presenter in this discussion. In today's video, we will going to discuss about the branches of the national government. The Philippines or our government essentially wields into three great powers: the power to create the laws, the power to implement the laws, and the power to interpret the laws. The power to create the laws is for the legislative department, the power to implement the laws is for the executive department, and the power to interpret the laws is for the judiciary department. The term laws as used above refers to the states which are written enactment or the legislatures governing the relations of the people among themselves or between them and the government and its agencies. And what is the function of laws? Through laws, the legislatures defines rights and duties of the citizen, imposes taxes, appropriate funds, define crimes, and provide for their jurisdiction and function, and in general, regulates human conduct and the use of properties for the promotion for the common good. Such as laws are valid or void are tested by their conformity and non-conformity to the Constitution. Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution, the Legislative Department. Section 1 talks about the legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the Philippines, which shall consist a Senate and the House of Representatives, except to the extent reserved to the people by the provision on initiative on referendum. So meaning, the Senate and the House Representative are the one who are creating the laws for a country. The Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution, the Executive Department. On Section 1, it talks about the executive power shall be vested in the President of the Philippines, and Section 1 vests the executive power in one person alone, the President of the Philippines. Therefore, it is accurate to refer to him as the executive, not merely the chief executive. However, in the president system of government, the president is also referred to as chief executive. Executive power has been defined as the power to administer the laws which mean carrying them into practical operation and enforcing their due observance. The Article 8 of the Constitution talks about the judicial power. In Section 1, the judicial power shall be vested in one Supreme Court in such lower courts as may be established by law. Judicial power includes the duty of the courts of justice to settle actual controversies and involving rights which are legally demandable and enforceable, and to determine whether or not there has been a grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. So now, we're going to discuss the executive department. On Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution, on Section 2, no person may be elected president unless he is number 1, a natural-born citizen of the Philippines. Number 2, a registered voter. Number 3, able to read and write. Number 4, at least 40 years old on the day of the election. Number 5, a resident of the Philippines for at least 10 years immediately preceding such election. According to Miriam Defensor Santiago, a leader such as president should possess the following: number 1, academic excellence; number 2, moral excellence; and number 3, professional excellence. In Section 3 on the Executive Department talks about there shall be a Vice President who shall have the same qualification in term of office and be elected with and in the same manner as the President. He may be or she may be removed from office in the same manner as the President. Section 4 of the same Constitution, the President and Vice President shall be elected by direct vote of the people for a term for 6 years, which shall begin at noon at 13th day of the June, next following day of the election, and shall end at noon on the same date 6 years thereafter. The President shall not able eligible for any re-election or no person who has succeeded as President. and has served as such for more than 4 years shall be qualified for election on the same office anytime. In addition, on Section 4, no Vice President shall serve for more than 2 successive terms. Voluntary renunciation of office for any length of time shall not be considered as an interruption in the continuity of the service for she or he full term which he or she was elected, unless otherwise provided by law. The regular election of the President and Vice President shall be held on the second Monday of May. So now, we will going to discuss about the roles and powers of the Philippine President. Number 1, the power of control over the executive departments, bureaus, and offices. In Section 17 of the 1987 Constitution tells the President shall have control of all executive departments, bureaus, and offices, and he shall ensure that the laws be faithfully executed. Next, the nature and extent of the power of control. A. Over cabinet members. The power of control of the president is in line with the concept of the cabinet members serving as an alter egos. Letter B. Over other subordinate officers. This includes the power to supervise, investigate, suspend, remove officers and employees belong to the executive branch. Next, over officers and employees in the career service. The President, however, has no authority to directly investigate and thereafter remove, even for a cause, an officer or an employee who belongs to the career service. Next, the next power will talk about the power of ordinance power. The President of the Philippines has the power to give executive issuances which are means to streamline the policies and programs of an administration. A. The executive order in the concept, the administrative order in the concept, the proclamation order in the concept, memorandum circulars in the concept, letter of instructions, and general or special orders. Next power is the power to ensure that the laws be faithfully executed. The primary function of the President is to enforce the laws. Before assuming office, he is required to take an oath or affirmation to the effect that as President of the Philippines, he will, among other, execute its laws. Next, the military power of the President. Power to meet emergencies and situations, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. So, the next power is the power to suspend privilege of the writ habeas corpus. The two conditions are necessary in order that the President may suspend the privilege of the writ. Number 1, there must be an invasion and rebellion. Number 2, the public safety must require the suspension. Next power is the power to declare martial law. The conditions of a valid suspension of the privilege of the writ habeas corpus are also the requisite of the declaration of the martial law by the President. If you are going to ask me what is martial law, in comprehensive sense, the military law proper that is laws enacted by the lawmaking body of the government of the armed forces, the rulers governing conduct of military forces in times of war in places under military occupation, and in strict sense, it is the law which has an application when the military arm does not supersede civil authority but it's called upon to aid it in the execution of the vital function. Basis, object, and duration of the martial law. So what is the basis, what is the object, and how long is the duration of the martial law? Basis, the right to declare, apply, and exercise martial law is one of the rights of sovereignty. The object of the martial law is the preservation of the public safety in good order. And the duration of the martial law is being founded on necessity. The exercise of the power may not extend beyond what is required by the exigency which is called for. Next power is the pardoning power. The power to grant pardon and other acts of clemency to violators of the law is traditionally vested in the chief executive of the nation. What are the kinds of pardon? A. The absolute pardon, when it is not subject to any condition whatsoever. And number two, the conditional pardon, when it is given subject to any condition or qualification the President may see it.